Welcome to Headcanon Fodder, a collection of musings, theories, and random stuff about media. This time, a follow-up to my Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons video. You see, when I develop a minor obsession with trying to figure out how something in a fictional world works, it rarely stops until I have a theory or three. This one's not about the Mysterons, though. Instead, I tried to work out the command structure of Spectrum, the organization. But before I got into that, I thought I'd go into some of the really quite clever choices made in the creation of the show when it comes to Spectrum. For instance, it's headed by Colonel White. White indicates purity, good, white hat and all that. But also age, experience, and what happens when you put a white light through a prism? You get a spectrum. All the colours working under him are facets of him, following his orders. The antagonist of the show is Captain Black. Black indicates evil, darkness, shadows. He never fights out in the open. And death. He's zombie-coded. More often than not, he's the one who kills people and recreates his Mysteron agents. And to reinforce the point, in the intro, he's seen skulking in a graveyard. But beyond all that, Black's not in the spectrum. It's not even light. There's Captain Scarlet, an excellent choice for the hero's colour. Red is for danger, excitement, but also the colour of blood. Scarlet is immortal, he can be injured and he will feel pain, but he will always recover. It's like he's literally walking wounded. But it also means that the creators don't need to add a lot of blood to him when he's injured, because it wouldn't show up in his uniform. So just some on his face and hands works fine. If he was Captain Blue, then to get the same impact, they need a bloodbath, and that might be too much for even this show. And speaking of Captain Blue, blue is the other obvious heroic colour after red, but less dangerous and more calming. He's the show's second lead and is frequently partnered with Scarlet, but he does much less dangerous stuff. Blue's also one of the big colours of nature, like the sky or the sea. And Blue's a natural man, unlike Scarlet. Directly under Colonel White is Lieutenant Green. Green has calming connotations and his job is to keep Spectrum running, and if need be, to support Colonel White himself.
Dead? Captain Scarlet dead?
Steady, Colonel. Steady.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
But beyond all that, he seems to be the lowest ranked of the colour-coded agents, and green also means inexperienced. For instance, Greenhorn. I have no idea how much that was intended, but it's all very clever. Also, I just realised this, but Colonel White is a powerful figure living high in the sky. His main representative on Earth dies and comes back to life. His enemy is one of his pantheon that betrayed him. And he has a bunch of flying warriors called angels working for him. I doubt any of that was deliberate, because Jerry Anderson was actually kind of anti-religion. But I could probably do a whole other video on the religious theming in this show. And who knows, maybe I will. Anyway, on to how I think Spectrum operates. I think each colour has a specialist role. For instance, white leading, green supporting white, and black as a point man with the same rank as the other captains, but some form of seniority and autonomy. Like a one-man Black Ops team working separately from the main organisation. My reason for this is that Black was sent on a mission to investigate Mars in a heavily armed lander and was able to call in a first strike on an intelligent alien species without authorization.
They're obviously hostile. Okay, Lieutenant, let them have it.
That is far beyond the pay grade of a regular Spectrum agent, and explains Black's use as the Mysteron's lead agent. It's exactly what he was trained for. Okay, on to the main body of Spectrum. You might have noticed something about the captain's names. Scarlet, Blue, Ochre, Magenta, Indigo, and Grey. I'm putting Grey to one side for now, but the others each broadly fall into the Spectrum. Scarlet is red, Blue is blue, Ochre is like a dark orange, Magenta is violet, and Indigo is purple. Before Ochre was introduced, there was Captain Brown, who was killed and recreated by the Mysterons. Brown, like a darker ochre. I think Spectrum has split the colour spectrum into its constituent main colours, red, blue, green, yellow, orange, violet and purple, and then split each main colour into its constituent colours, and has one captain for each main colour, choosing to place colours that don't fit 100% neatly into one or another, like brown and ochre coming under orange. When an agent is killed, their colour is retired from service and probably placed in a wall of remembrance, and then the next agent to join is assigned or chooses a subcolour from the dead agent's main colour. Brown, a subcolour of orange, died and ochre replaced them. No doubt if Scarlet had stayed dead, they'd have brought in Captain Burgundy or Crimson. The only issue with this is Indigo, who we never heard of, met in one episode when he was undercover, and then he died. 4 times in the same episode. He didn't even get a replacement on screen. I think it's possible that Spectrum agents are chosen for certain skills corresponding to each color's role. Perhaps the purple agent's specialized role is working undercover, deep undercover, doing their own thing. Kind of like Black, but without the ability to start interplanetary war. So, what could the other areas of expertise be? Honestly, it's very hard to tell. It was a kids' show made in the mid-60s, so consistency wasn't very high on the names of the writers. But Magenta seems to specialize in theoretical work, behind-the-scenes stuff. He was a crime boss, specializing in cybercrime before he joined Spectrum. He figured out that General Tiempo was a target in Operation Time. He always fucks up when he's out in the field, but he was in charge of the radar during the attack on Cloud Base. Yeah, that last one has him almost literally learning how to count on the job.
1, 2, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, it's 4.
But it was also a dream.
It was a nightmare. A terrible, horrible nightmare.
Maybe the real Magenta's job in that situation would have been strategy and organizing the defense as. Maybe when he retires or is killed, his replacement, say Captain Fuchsia, will be a computer expert. And I don't know if there's evidence or not, but when Green is off on missions, it's usually Magenta who fills in for him. Running Cloud Base, assisting Colonel White, that kind of thing. As for the others, my sister suggested that Captain Blue's role could be troubleshooting. Literally. When Scarlet was under Mistron control, Blue was sent in to deal with them. Violently. And afterwards, he was almost always sent to accompany him on missions. Maybe Blue was there to deal with Scarlet if he's taken over again. He couldn't kill him, but he could easily incapacitate him long enough for the rest of Spectrum to arrive. The Oranges, Zoker and Brown, might be security. I mean, Brown died en route to protect the world president. And this would explain why we rarely follow Ochre in the stories. His job rarely overlaps with Scarlet's. Plus, in canon, Ochre's job before Spectrum was in the police, an international force like Interpol. Him and Magenta were adversaries. And what about Yellow? Medicine. The cloud-based doctor is Dr. Fawn, a tawny kind of yellow. And to further reinforce the yellow medicine point, in the CGI remake, the doctor is Dr. Gold.
Dr. Gold! He's alive!
Impossible.
Anyway, on to Captain Grey. I think like Captain Ochre succeeded Brown, Grey succeeded Black. He was intended to be the next point man of the organization, given the highest stakes missions and special dispensation to get the job done. Grey's real name was Bradley Holden. He was the original pilot of Stingray from the other Jerry Anderson show. Grey's one of the most experienced agents Spectrum has had. But with Scarlet's resurrection, the structure of Spectrum had to change a little.
It would seem that this Captain Scarlet is now indestructible. This presents us with the clear and exciting expectation that he will become our greatest asset in the fight against the Mysterons.
Suddenly, there was no point in sending the organization's best man into the most dangerous or high-stakes situations. Instead, it made much more sense to send the most expendable man, Scarlet. Which means Scarlet inherited Black's role as the main point man and relegated Grey to the role of a regular Spectrum agent. We don't see Grey in action much, but he seems to be a cool, collected, and highly professional agent. And frankly, Scarlet doesn't seem to be Spectrum's best man. If it wasn't for his incredible healing ability, he'd probably be kind of average. So honestly, I can totally see a world where a normal Scarlet is a regular agent, and Grey does the high danger stuff. So, what was Captain Scarlet's role before he became the hero? Well, we only ever see him accompanying Brown in his fatal mission to protect the president, but maybe he was a support agent, a jack of all trades, competent at everything, but not cripplingly overspecialized, which pretty well describes him in the show. So on to Lieutenant Green now. I don't think he's actually a lower rank than the captains per se. It's not like he can be randomly promoted to Captain Green. I think the Greens, Lieutenant Green and whoever succeeds him, Lieutenant Viridian or whatever, have a particular role in the organization as Colonel White's assistant, and Lieutenant is pretty much the top of that. They could become a captain, but it'd be a diagonal career move. They'd have to train specially for it and have to change their colour. Anyway, that's how I think Spectrum was structured, a team of captains with overlapping responsibilities, but their own areas of expertise, all working for White. Captain Black working semi-autonomously with more responsibilities than a regular captain. Side note, but Black was one of the first people enlisted by Spectrum. But when Black did that little war crime and became one with the Mysterons,
one of you will be under our control.
Grey was brought in as his replacement. But then Captain Scarlet's immortality was discovered, meaning that they had to change the structure, so Scarlet took on the responsibilities that would have been Grey's, shunting him off to regular captain duties. In an episode, they actually maybe illustrate some of this. Episode 2 is Winged Assassin, the only time we really get a good look at Captain Grey on point, defending a high-level Mysteron target. The sort of thing that Scarlet would usually do. Grey successfully keeps the target alive and hands him over, but afterwards he's narrowly killed and Scarlet is critically injured trying to save him, demonstrating to Spectrum that no matter how good Grey is, and he literally did everything right, he's just not as useful as an immortal. This is an extra bit of evidence, I couldn't really think of where to put this, but there's a shot from the end of the first episode. Captain Grey is already there, but there's no Captain Ochre. Now, there was a time jump between Captain Black disappearing after returning from Mars and the rest of the first episode. Enough time for his replacement to be activated, Captain Grey. But this is about a day after Captain Brown's death. Not enough time for his replacement, Captain Ochre, to be activated. I hope all this makes sense. And if you were going to be called to work for Spectrum, what colour codename would you choose? Begs Captain Heliotrope. Okay, this is a complete tangent. It has nothing to do with anything I've said beforehand, but Captain Magenta and Ochre going from adversaries and other sides of the law to both being signed up to defend the Earth has some mighty powerful shipping material. With Magenta as the seductive, bad boy Lothario, and Ochre as the good Christian boy who's scared of these new feelings he's having for that criminal. I'm sorry, but that pairing works far better than most of the canon Captain Scarlet pairings, you know, one of the Angels and Scarlet and all that. It's like, Jesus Christ. Look at some of their body language in these screenshots. Even in the comics, it's like, kiss already!